Okay, good evening, everyone. It's 7 o'clock, Tuesday, February 15th. I'm going to call to order the Middlebrook School Roof Building Committee. We will begin our meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. So I'm calling this meeting to order. Barbara Crandall, would you take a roll call to see who's in attendance, please?
Tricia Borgensen.
Present.
Robert Christiani.
Here.
Tony Sinto. Stephen Cahill.
Present.
Vin Salto.
I'm here. Sorry, Barbara.
That's okay.
I couldn't get up from you.
I've got you. Mark Hoffman,
Here.
Chris Bandici, Michael Ward,
I'm here.
and Joy. Did I mention Joy?
No, and Lynn Salta is also a member of the committee and she is also here.
Yes, I did call her name.
Okay, fine. Okay. And I had a text from Joy, so I believe that she'll be joining. Okay, so the first order of business is I'd like someone to make a motion. Actually, there is a correction in the minutes that you were sent. And I'm going to note that, and then I'm going to ask for a motion. Cindy, you'll correct me how I do this. But the correction I'd like to make is in those attending, it's Dave Cote, C-O-T-E, not Conti. And then when we referred to Joy Cologne, we referred to her as a representative of the Democratic Town Council, which is incorrect. She is a representative from the Town Council. So I would like to see those two changes noted in the minutes. Could someone make a motion to that effect?
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. Can I get a second?
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. So we are approving the minutes as amended. Do I need a separate motion for that?
Yes.
Okay, so I'd
Motion
like
to
a,
approve the minutes as amended, Madam Chairman.
thank you, Mr. Ward. Can I have a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
The next order of business I put on the agenda is the financial report. A sheet was attached in the documents that were sent out to you that shows our expenditures to date. Does anyone have any questions about that? Is there anything specific we should know about this, Mr. Martin, beyond what's on the page?
Nothing as of right now. I mean, you folks are going to discuss some changes tonight that may affect this.
Yes.
The point that we should make here, I should point out anyway, that we were showing $1,598,000 and change is left available in this funding authorization. It may be a good idea that you folks consider holding back 10% for owner's costs and other items, just in case, as like a cushion before you go all in on the project.
Okay. I'm just making a note of that. Okay, thank you.
That was contingencies too, right, Dan?
Yeah, contingencies, owner expenses, things like that, just to have for just in case items. I mean, you know, the way it's been discussed in the past that we have enough, but it just on changes and whatnot that could happen down the line, that we should have a contingency owner's expenses put aside as a suggestion.
Okay. I think that's a great suggestion, but I would not like to handle it just yet in the form of a motion, just because there's more details coming out about the state process in terms of approval and reimbursement. That's going to affect our overall budget. So maybe we should do that at the end, once we make our decisions.
No issue, just something to point out at this juncture, that when you guys get rolling on awarding and whatnot, that you should have some kind of contingency plan.
Okay. Okay, that's great. Okay, so the next thing on the agenda is introduction of a new committee member, and that's Chris Van Dekke, but I don't know if he has joined us. I don't see him on the call. Bill Chin, can you tell me, is Paul Lisi in the meeting?
Paul Lisi was here as an attendee. I tried twice to promote him to panelist. He's disappeared twice.
Okay, he's
So
sort of
he needs
crucial
to-
for the meeting. What do you recommend we do?
He can try joining again, and when I promote him, he has to say yes.
Okay,
If he doesn't click on yes, he won't be in the meeting.
all right.
I can also send.
I am just gonna send him a message.
I'll send him an invite as well.
Madam Chair,
Yes,
sorry to interrupt. I know I'm newer to the group, but if other people that aren't speaking could mute, that would reduce the feedback that we seem to be getting.
thank you, Ms. Cohen.
Okay, Mr. Lisi's here. I'm promoting him as a panelist.
Wonderful.
I think he clicked yes there. He disappeared, so hopefully he's coming in.
Bill, do you want me to call Paul Lisi?
Oh, he's here.
He's here? Okay, good. Okay. So the next, well, Chris isn't here right now. If he comes in during the meeting, we will introduce him. The next order is the approval of an invoice from Antonazzi Associates. The amount is $2,733.33. If you notice on the invoice, it says, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought I read for additional services in conjunction with the state process. We had allocated some extra money for the architect for him to do this additional paperwork and the application and everything. And that's what this invoice is for. Does anyone have any questions regarding this? If not, I would like a motion to approve this invoice.
I'll make a motion, Pat.
Thank you. Can I get a second on this, please?
Robert
Second.
Christiani, second.
Thanks very much. All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Is anyone opposed? Okay, thank you very much. That motion is carried. Just for anyone's information, the process now is this has been approved in the meeting. And what I will do is I will sign the date of the meeting and my signature and write approved and bring it into Mr. Martin. I'm going to ask you, particularly since we're on Zoom, when you say I'll make the motion, please identify yourself like Mark Hoffman, I'm making this motion. Okay, thank you. Okay, so the next step is going to be the bulk of our meeting, and it's basically an update on the project. On January 11th, we were informed by OSPAR, which is the Office of School Construction, the State Office of School Construction and Grants, that our application had been accepted. Dave Cody at that time requested what's called a PCR meeting, which is a plan review meeting. And that was scheduled for February 2nd. It was Dave Cody, Paul Hendrickson, Paul Lisi, and myself that attended. The meeting was 3.5 hours long. It analyzed every aspect of this plan. It was a thorough review, and it was conducted by a member of the state office who is also an architect. Some small changes were requested, and those changes were submitted to the state. And we received our approval from the state on 2/9 of this month, February 9th. And we actually have also a number. So that's very good going forward. There were some important, there was a lot of important information shared during the meeting. But one of the important pieces of information is that from the receipt of this letter, we actually have 2 years to complete this project from this grant letter receipt. The other thing that we learned is that if the costs that we received after we go out to bid are over 10% from the budget that we submitted, we will have to resubmit the cost portion of this application to the state if we want to continue with state funding. I'd like to ask Dave Cody if he could just say a few words about the meeting and the process. Dave, are you available?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Why don't you share your thoughts with us?
Yeah, it was a very long meeting. I agree with you, that assessment, Pat. It was very complete review by the state. There were actually 2 architects involved. They went through not only the drawings, they also went through the cost estimate as well as the specifications, almost page by page, section by section on the specs. There were some really minor revisions that I believe Paul submitted to them early last week.
Yes.
And that led to the approval that we received, I believe it was yesterday or the day before. So it looks like as far as the state's concerned, we're ready to go to bid. There was a lot of discussion about current costs and availability of materials. And, you know, the state did provide that caveat about the 10% overage. So we're, you know, hopeful that bids, when we receive them, are within the budget that we have allocated. That's about.
Okay, Dave, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Paul. Paul Lisi, would you like to contribute to that? Would you like to offer anything additional at this time?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Good evening. Yeah, Dave Cody summarized it pretty much. Yeah, we actually received the approval to go out to bid late Wednesday evening of last week. So, you know, we're ready to go out to bid. Now it's the decision of the committee and the town of Trumbull. And as David mentioned, the state is very concerned at the cost increases that are out there now in the bidding world. They're claiming that it's potentially, you know, double the cost. I'm not quite so sure that is true. I have done some, I've made some calls the past week or so, and it's certainly increased, but I don't think it's doubled. But you have that out there, and you also, of course, have the timing of the delay in material deliveries. So not only are we, you know, having concerns with cost increase, but we're also having concerns with potentially not even being able to do this this summer. So I think I guess there's three possible options. I suppose we could go in the direction of either putting this out to bid and seeing what happens from a timing point of view and a budget point of view, or we can put it off till next year and hope that prices go down. You know, perhaps bid it this fall or summer, or put it out to bid. And if the prices come in over budget, perhaps the town may choose to make the difference in cost in the increase. I guess those are the three options that we would have at this point.
Paul, I have a question.
Yeah.
If the costs come in more than 10%, what does the state do about that? In other words, could they withdraw their monies entirely, or will they still pay us the amount that they agreed to with the original budget?
That's an excellent question. Paul, do you want to answer that, or would you like me to step in?
We would either to complete. Sure, go ahead, Pat, I'm sorry.
Okay, so basically what the state says is that our costs have to fit into this 10% window. And if they are in excess, we have to resubmit new numbers because the numbers have to balance. So even though the town has the money set aside in the funding authorization, if we're working with the state and we change the numbers, the town cannot make up the difference. We have to resubmit the financial part to the state with the estimates we receive, and then they have to get back to us. There was no indication that they would not approve the project, nor that they would not participate based on the costs. But the numbers have to match because there's an audit function that happens with these projects. And if your numbers are out of whack, then there's a pullback. I mean, they indicated that would be a very bad thing. So if we continue to go with the state process, we would have to resubmit numbers to them if it's over 10%. And that's just, it was indicated to me that it would not take a long time, but I'm mildly skeptical, let's put it that way. Did that answer your question, Lynn? Okay, Tony, you have your hand up.
Yeah, sorry about that. My only concern is if we keep pushing all these projects out, how many years are we going to push them out for? I mean, I understand the cost, but I think we should definitely go out to bid and see what happens. Things could change. They could get worse. They could get better. We don't know that, but just as, I mean, if you push this out another year and then you're pushing every other project out more years, so that the town could be doing, they could be doing paving, they could be fixing the school, they could be fixing another, not necessarily a roof, but they could
Another
fix
roof.
something else in the school. Well, if you can't get this roof fixed, you can't fix the other roof. So, but you could, there are other projects that, if you're going to push this off for 2 years, which I think is a bad idea, I think you got to get it done. I'm sure Mr. Ward would agree with me on that, since he knows the school's probably better than anybody. I'd like to hear what he'd have to think, because he definitely knows the schools better than anybody.
Well, that's really a great point, and I thank you for raising it. I see Joyce has her hand up, and then I'd like to go to Mr. Ward as well.
Hi there, through the chair. So my question, and everyone will forgive me and consider me a novice at this, is there a way, because of COVID and this situation, to write a contingency within the bid that allows for a reduction in price because everything is estimated to be at a much higher rate, with the hopes or the intention or the idea that it's going to go down next year when things are supposedly better?
I think
No.
Mr. Bova.
Yeah, so we go out to bid. We're not going to put a contingency that if the price comes down, the guy is going to order material, and if he gets at that price, we're going to watch what his price is and ask him 10% over. We're going to get bids in. We're going to get the low bid in. We're going to ask him if it's vetted and you guys agree to go forward with the bid. We're going to bring him in. We're going to do a letter of award, a contract, and a letter to proceed. Right now, I'll be honest, I've ordered roofing materials and I have no delays. I don't know the other materials that might be delays, but roofing is not one of them. And I think Paul Lisi even called one of the big roofing companies, and they have said that also. So I'm with Tony on this. If you keep pushing projects out, and I'm going to have a lot of projects, I'm not going to stop with a lot of bids. It's going to be, how many do you want to, keep going? Because I don't know what's in the capital for the Board of Ed for other jobs, but we should go out to bid, see what we get. And just be a reminder, we put a 1.5 budget on this, and that was from a person that came to Board of Ed and was preparatory stuff that they were going to do it. So I think me and Paul felt that was even a high at that time, estimate that these people that came in and gave a dog and pony show to the Board of Ed and said they could do everything without going out to bid and using them. So I really feel confident going out to bid, see what we can get back. We can always look at it. If you want to put in there, if you don't start till next summer, and they don't buy the material to next summer, that's gonna be hard language to put in with the lawyers in the AAA contract, but we could try. I'm not saying 100% don't do it, but you're not gonna get a lot of audience to bid on the project if you do that. You know, maybe some have some stuff in stock. Maybe some people already know the materials, their availability. So that's what we're going to find out when we go out to bid, what is actually out there and what we could do. And as I'm speaking, I'll keep going with it with the bid is this is a CHRO project. So I'm already going to have a contingency in there when this goes out to bid for CHRO,
Okay.
which is
You
usually.
need to explain that, Kevin.
Yep, I will. So CHRO is when the state gives us X amount of dollars, over $50,000, and then over $500,000. There's a process that we put in our bid language in the bid and in the Connecticut Post for the listing for the bid. And when that goes out to a pre-bid meeting, we explain to these people that X amount of dollars is expected to be expenditure from the state. So if they give us over 500, 25% of that 500 will have to go through a small business. And then 25% of that money has to go to a minority business. And this isn't just a, good faith effort kind of thing. I submit a lot of paperwork up to Hartford. The contractor has to be affirmative action plan. They have to do a set aside plan. And that set aside plan will probably come towards the end of the contract where, the bid was 1.8 and we're getting 30% back from 1.8 times 30%. That's what the set aside plan has to show, that we use that money towards a minority or diversified business. And they'll tell us whether to pay them or not, if they made good faith effort on that. And if they didn't, we hold 2% to 5% back. But this is all going to fall in. This is kind of reverse how we usually do it. We usually know how much money we're going to get back from the state when we first started a project, low SIP grants. We're doing the reimbursement after the project. So these contractors already have enough on their plate figuring out if they do 2 million, that $600,000 is going to go to a small business for a roof, which I don't know if there's that many minority or small businesses out there that could fill the $600,000 gap. So then if you put on top of that, contingency, if the rates come down, are we going to get a cost? It's going to affect, it's a chain effect. It's like a stepping process. You might not get a lot of audience for the project. That's all I'm saying. But I totally believe you should go out now for the bid and see what we get back and evaluate it then.
I would agree with you, and I thank you so much for responding.
Thank you, Joy. I also want to say, our goal as a committee is to get the project done. And the reality is if you don't go out to bid, you don't have the data to make the decision. So you got to have the information. Cindy, your hand is raised. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut anybody off. Mrs. Katsky?
That's okay. This is Cindy Katsky from the First Selectman's Office, and I just wanted to remind everybody that they really need to announce their name and their title every time they speak. Thank you.
Okay, Cindy, thank you. Okay. Who else might want to speak to this? Mike Ward, would you like to speak to this?
Yes, Mike Ward, a committee member of the community, I guess. I refer the question about the roof to Dave, who's the person in charge of operations. He's had a chance, I guess, to look at this project. He would be concerned, I guess, if we wait too long. Is Dave still on? Or Dave on?
Yeah, this is
Mr.
Dave.
Cody?
Cody. I'm still
Yeah,
here.
Dave, yeah. You have a better idea. You've had a chance to go up to the roof and take a look at it, right? We can't keep on postponing, can you?
I would rather not keep postponing it. We do have repairs that we just did recently with a storm. So, time, I'm not going to say time is of the essence, but, time is critical in getting this project done.
Yeah, I support Kevin's recommendation. Kevin knows the business. He's been there a long time. I would go out to bid, Madam Chairman.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ward. Mr. Nugent, your hand is raised. I can't hear Jim.
You're
Mr.
muted.
Okay.
Cindy, Jim, we couldn't hear you.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to say the only way we're going to know where we.
Jim, we couldn't hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Is to get a bid out
Right.
as soon as we can, and we'll find out what the bids have to say on the project, right? And then we'll know where we stand. So, we can select our options going forward from there. So there's no reason to wait. We should just authorize that tonight and get the bid out there.
I did check with the building committee rules, and we don't officially need a, I'm sorry, is someone speaking? Does someone want to speak? Did I cut them off? I'm sorry. I don't think we officially need a motion, but I would like a motion for the minutes for this committee. That we request that the town purchasing department issue a request for bids for the Middlebrook School roof project. Will someone make that motion, please?
Hi, Lynn Salta, committee member. I'd like to make a motion that. I'm hearing feedback. I don't know if you guys are.
Too. I'm sorry.
Right.
I
Yeah.
don't know what.
I'm hearing feedback. I don't know if you guys are. I'm sorry. Right. Yeah. Okay, well, I'd just like to make the motion that the town puts out our bid for a new roof on Middlebrook School.
Do we have a second?
I'll second the motion, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Ward. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
Aye.
Don't appear to be any opposed. Mrs. Katsky, do we need a roll call vote or can we just do the ayes?
No, this is Cindy Katsky for Selectman's Office. Probably the best way is to ask if there is unanimous consent. And if there is not, then you would need a roll call vote. But if there is unanimous consent, then you can just go ahead with that.
Okay, thank you. Is there a unanimous consent to approve this motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. This motion then is approved. Okay, so actually the last item on our agenda is the scope of the work for the committee going forward. I actually am not sure, unfortunately, when we would meet again. Kevin Bova, can you tell me how long the process is to receive the bids in terms of time?
Yeah, so right now, I'll get a formal bid request from Dave Cody with the account number and signature on there, and then Maria will sign it, and Paul Henderson actually sign it. And then from there, myself and Paul Lisi will get the final bid documents, drawings ready to go with the language. We'll probably start sometime next week, get that out. We'll have a pre-bid meeting, probably give them 1 month to go out. So probably middle of March, get the bids back in, maybe the third week of March. From there, that third week of March or so, we'll make it to where we'll have enough copies for all the, and then you guys will evaluate them. I would believe I could probably pick them up in my office and you guys evaluate them for a few days. And we come back to the committee meeting and, and have a suggestion on who you guys think is the best qualified. I think Dave could help and Paul Lisi could also help on that committee to evaluate. We do like references and subcontractors and some language we have in the bid to meet the state requirements too. So if we go out to bid next week or so, give it 3 weeks, back in evaluation. Give it 3 weeks. And I would say you could probably award the first week of April.
Okay. So then, okay, that's very helpful information. Tony Cinto, your hand is up. What would you like to say?
I got a question for Paul Lisi and for Mr. Ward. For Mr. Ward, first question is for Mr. Ward first. In a worst case scenario with snow days and all that kind of stuff, when would be the last day of school? Worst case scenario, if they used all their snow days, all that kind of stuff, what would be the last day of school?
I
mean, that's a legitimate question,
I knew the graduation for the high school date has been set, and Dave, you were at that meeting when they set that date for the high school? I didn't write it down. the date was set for the graduation from high school, so that's the last day for the high school kids and one day more for the elementary kids in middle school.
Oh,
Is that-
okay. Well, then my question for Paul Lisi would be like, if everything goes as scheduled, there's no problems, could we be able to roll like the project when school's done? Because like Mr. Ward says, you can't go, you got to get it done by summertime before school starts again. Bearing weather and all that kind of stuff. Just that's why I asked Mr. Ward about when school might end, because sometimes it ends later because of the snow days and all that kind of stuff. But that's my question.
Excuse me, this is Cindy Katsky. I just looked on the Trumbull Public Schools website, and right now the last day of school is June 20th. They've had 4 snow days. I'm not certain how many more are built into the calendar. I know in the past they've started to take away from April break if they use that many days. I don't know where they are for that. So
The last official day was June 14th.
I think we got substantial completion before they go back to school, but we've done projects, where people went back to school, if it doesn't affect substantial, maybe Paul Lisi help me on that one. When he thinks, if we did it this year, if we got it, everything went right.
Yes, if I may, it's Paul Lisi from Antonazzi Associates. Yeah, we're already very close to the point where it's, it's almost too late at this point. However, I would really, if we're going to go out to bid, I would suggest doing it immediately and expediting this, and even maybe only giving the bidders 2 weeks to bid, which is plenty of time for a roofing project. Kevin, is there any way we can get this out, get this advertised this weekend?
Kevin Bova, appreciate it. If you have everything for me, Paul, all the drawings, 100% contract documents, yeah, I could probably go out, but it's going to be, all I need is a formal bid signed by Dave Cody.
We'll have that tomorrow.
What I would suggest, Kevin, is if we advertise this weekend, we have a pre-bid conference on Tuesday, and then we give them 2 weeks, and the bids are due on the 8th, on March 8th.
Perfect.
I already have one for March 8th. You have to go a day before, day after.
Okay.
Or later time.
Yeah, you give them an extra day on the 9th.
Well, I got Tasha Roof coming in, so I don't want 2 roof bids coming in the same day. It might get confusing for the people, but yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we get time to evaluate them, but then we need to meet the following week to make the decision. Am I correct?
Yes, it's best low qualified bid. Who you guys think are the best qualified? Paul will give his suggestion. Maybe me and Dave, Paul will get together, give our suggestion. You guys look it over and ask us questions, or come up with your own, might come up with some questions about subcontracts or something. One guy might be able to do it and have material. He might be a little more money. So you might not go at low bid. You might go at second or third low bid if they meet your criteria.
Okay. Is it too soon to schedule a meeting to discuss the bids on March 14th, which is a Monday?
Kevin Bova purchase. No, that's not. That's fine. March 14th will be fine.
Okay, then Cindy Katsky, are there any conflicts on the calendar that would prevent us from having a meeting on March 14th?
I will check.
Okay. Paul Lisi, would that be a good day for you?
Yes, that works for me. Thank you.
Okay.
This is Cindy Katsky from the First Selectman's Office. It looks like right now there's just one other meeting scheduled for that evening, so it looks good.
Okay, so regarding the scope of the committee, we're going to be evaluating these bids that come back to us, and we'll be doing that on a meeting on the 14th. That will be our next step. Mr. Ward, yes.
This evaluation on the 14th, is this going to be in person?
I'm hoping it's going to be in person. It would be much easier.
Because I think, we as a committee have even had a chance to even look at any kind of, I don't know how we make a decision on something, not knowing what we're just making a decision on, if you don't
I
mind.
know. No, I would love to have it in person, and that would be my first option. I just have to make sure that everything will work for it to be in person. Okay. All right, where's the agenda? All right, what else? What else do we need to decide at this time? We have decided that we're going out to bid. We've set another meeting date for the evaluation of the bids that come back to us. From the technical people, Dave Cody, Polisi, something specific you're going to need from the committee before that time?
This is Dave Cody. I don't think there's anything we need from the committee as far as a approval at this point. I agree with Kevin. Once the bids are in, we'll do a scope review with the bidders, and Paul, myself, and Kevin will go through them, and we'll make a recommendation. And I think that'll be the appropriate time to reconvene. And I think that March date that you're holding right now will work just fine.
Okay, that's helpful. Is anybody else in the committee? Do we have any more questions for this project or for tonight? Any other things we want to discuss at this point?
Pat?
Yes.
Lynn Salter committee, a member committee. I have one question. How many bids can we expect? Is there some kind of number that you have typically that would come in?
I think Mr. Bova might be the one to answer that. Kevin?
Yes, Kevin Bova, purchasing agent. We could expect an audience from anywhere between 4 to probably 10, depending on how busy they are, what the market is. But we like to get them in now, which is a good time before March, because we've done this before with windows and we waited till last, and people are already booked up. So I'll know more on March 8th too, because I'm getting bids for the Tasha roof. And I got to say, though, my pre-bid meeting for that, only one person showed up, where we usually get 20 to 30 contractors showing up for the pre-bid meeting. So after the pre-bid meeting, we have that Tuesday this week, next week, or the week after, we'll know probably half of that will be the audience that bids.
Okay.
So I would guess between 4 and 10. We have a good marketing. We go to the DS portal, the Connecticut Source, which reaches out to everybody in Connecticut, the Connecticut Post, and we do the town website, of course.
Okay. Paul Lacey, your hand is up. Lynn, did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay. Paul Lacey, your hand is up.
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that, the roofing contract are much smaller contractors than what contractors that have been this project. And the good news is that we know many of these roofing contractors, the larger contractors. So it'll be a quicker process to evaluate them. We've worked with many of them. Dave Cody, I'm sure, has as well. For this project.
Okay, so I'm just going to summarize. I think Paul said that because we know many of these contractors, it will be easier and quicker for us to evaluate them. You broke up a little in the middle of your sentence. Would you agree that that's what you said? Okay, good. Okay, well, unless anyone has any further business that they want to bring to us or any further comments, I think I might ask for a motion to adjourn.
Joy Cologne, Town Council.
Yes,
Joy Cologne, Town Council, motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much. We have a second here.
Second, Madam Chairman. Mike
Okay.
Ward.
We are adjourned.
Thank you,
Yeah,
everyone.
not bad, 40 minutes.
Good night, everyone.
Good night. Thank you very much. Thanks
Have a good
everybody
night.
for participating.
Good night.
Okay. Good
Thanks,
night.
everybody. Bye.